when I started using Photoshop for drawing, the polygonal lasso became one of the most frequent tools I used. It added a lot of, I found a lot of uses for it, not just filling things in, especially things that are in odd shape, but I use it to sometimes create straight lines or to fill stuff in that's odd shaped, or to just quickly highlight things. It's a really great and versatile tool. Funny thing, I've been using Photoshop for a long time, and it's very funny to see how much I don't know about the program. I know enough to do what I need to do, but I know there's 1,000 other features that it has that I could probably take advantage of, but I've never taken the time to learn. When I watch other people draw, you kind of pick stuff up, but I'm sure I use some techniques and some tools that some people don't use, or I use them in a different way. And I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I can learn from other people by watching what they're doing. I did take some online courses for how to draw, how to color with Photoshop, and I'm using Photoshop Elements. Photoshop, I do not have the entire Adobe suite or the full version of Photoshop. The reason is because I like to own the software that I buy rather than pay for a subscription, and it's kind of expensive to buy a subscription of Photoshop. You can't buy that program anymore, you have to buy the subscription. I can still buy a copy of Photoshop, and it's not that expensive, and you buy it once and you can have it. And then, you know, every couple of years I will upgrade my software. So it's 2024 now. I think this version I'm working on is 2022, so I'll probably upgrade at the end of the year. Just because if you let the versions get too old, even if they work well, I think sometimes they move stuff around or they change things. And for instance, if you waited 5 years to update your program, get a new version, you're going to find the interface is a lot different than you're used to. So I just to kind of keep current with where things are and the new features, I usually every 2 years will upgrade. You can see how quickly I was able to infill all these windows, and at some point I may add some shadow. Now there's another section of this tower that has all this ribbing on it, and I'm wondering if I should add the medium gray there as well. I didn't put as much detail because this part of the tower is much smaller. I mentioned last week it's easy to select the layer with the move tool just by clicking on it, but sometimes you can click too hard and what happens is it will shift, and I don't want to do that. Because the tower is so small on the page, I know I'm zoomed into it, but when you zoom way out, that detail is not needed, like way out here, because it's such a small part of the overall drawing. Sometimes when I have these black lines against a black background, like this star field, I will make a gray outline of that. I'll select the line with the magic wand, and I will highlight it like this, and I will add a gray, like a darker gray, so that at least it keeps the black line and the black background separated, because it feels like the line work gets lost. I wonder what this is up here. Again, it's very handy just to keep these up here, so I can always go back to them and refer to them and select the exact gray color. It just keeps consistency. I don't want to have, I mentioned this before, I don't want to have like 50 different shades of gray. You know, with Photoshop, there's thousands of different color increments that you can pick, and I want to just keep a consistent 3 so that I just don't want to go from page to page and it just looks wildly different. I want to keep it as simple as possible. And I think by filling in the gray with a little bit of a border like this, even though there's not a window frame implied or drawn there, it's implied. So you can go do that on all these round windows. The nice thing about Photoshop is I can get down to 1 pixel and draw 1 pixel. I don't love drawing with pixels. I wish there was, I know I could use a vector program. I just don't know how to use that yet. I might someday want to train myself in that, or get some training in it, but right now I've gotten, I've gotten good results. Plus I want to finish this book pretty much the same way I started, so it would be weird to switch now.